I'm changing how I hunt platinum trophies. Forever. Trophy hunting, like any vocation or hobby, has its ups and its downs, its heights and its pitfalls, good days and bad. Our lives are all complex and filled with so many varying factors in and out of our control that naturally the two can and often do have a massive impact on one another. But throw in some tragedy, some neurodivergence and bad mental health, and the hobby that we find so much comfort in can turn against us. The classic 90s British realist novel Fever Pitch: A Fan's Life asked the philosophical question,
You can't remember whether life's shit because Arsenal is shit or the other way around.
forcing the question, is my life shit because my trophy hunting is shit? Or is my trophy hunting shit because my life is shit? And I spent most of 2024 trying to answer that question as I wrestled with an awful personal year. A moral dilemma with Sony, my disdain at the way the PS5 generation has been handled, online abuse that I suffered, personal tragedies, yes plural, and a declining love for all things trophy related. And then how wonderful friends, the incredible trophy hunting community and great games gave me pause, and then an epiphany. I have a whole new love of trophy hunting, and now I have a whole new approach to collecting platinum trophies going forward that I want to tell you all about. So let's go. It all started with a big bad game that inspired me to become a hunter and YouTuber, Bloodborne, making my first platinum hunting goal to earn 99 plats and make BB the big centennial celebration of my progress. But with Bloodborne banked in the trophy cabinet, I was left without purpose or plans going forward, so I chose Wolf 2 as Wolfenstein is one of my favourite fucking franchises of all time. But I felt that platinum harder than I fail my kids as a father when singing in the shower. At the same time, I was trying to complete a full calendar year with a trophy every single day, a huge change to my gaming style and one that crushed me and my level trophies almost fucking completely. But a great year on a personal level made it feel less important, less notable, so I didn't heed it enough attention. By the end of the year, I was exhausted of both PlayStation and trophies. A series of bad boosting experience was fortunately weighed evenly by an amazing COD group, Duxie, Dragon and Razgar. If it wasn't for them and a few others like Carl and Turtlebat, I probably would have stopped boosting altogether. I love you guys all so much. But the year after the streak was fucking brutal on a personal level and the trophy burnout was still weighing heavy. Lethargy at best, disdain at worst, but gaming had become part of the problem, no longer part of the solution. Streak video is linked somewhere and it's one I recommend watching for your own sanity. So here's the big pile of negatives that rocked me after the streak that simply stopped me refinding my love, and don't worry, this bit is a bit heavy, but as always here at ZXL we offer a full masseuse service. We guarantee a happy ending. Over the year my personal life fell completely apart. Multiple tragedies broke me mentally and crew emotionally as our whole family suffered from unexpected, awful and unavoidable issues. Got mega depressed, then mega focused on work to avoid life, which obviously made things a fuck ton worse at home, but was the only way that I could continue to function. Social media filled up with men hate as I played through Jedi Survivor's dad hating bullshit story. The flow of kill all men and men should die posts became overwhelming, so I jumped off X or Twitter, whatever the fuck Elon's calling it this week, and Sony, who I had a gaming relationship with since the dawn of fucking time, kinda twisted the knife in. So here are my PS5 issues in a nutshell. They released the console during a pandemic but allowed scalpers to swallow them all up, costing actual players double the cost just to buy one. They exploited a gaming shortage and world crisis to turn a DLC into a full-price game to exploit gamers in the middle of a global economic disaster while everyone lost their jobs. Bought out PS VR 2 both overpriced and underutilized as they refused point blank to make it backward compatible to the first VR set. Refused for years to give us a new handheld that actually works as a handheld, but instead gave us the ridiculously overpriced and utterly unnecessary Portal, which for £200 plus is literally nothing more than a backbone controller to stream games from your console. The biggest con Sony have pulled off in years. Kudos, really. I mean, it's pretty impressive, actually. Then the PS5 Pro, which is basically the cost of a PC. In fact, you can actually get a better custom-built PC for the price the Pro is in the UK. Go Google it, it'll blow your fucking mind. But the fact that the Pro is cheaper in many other countries than it is in the UK is simply extortion. No wonder consumers in the UK and EU are suing the console so fucking aggressively. Add this to the fact that the PS4 was for the players, but the PS5 only got a social section in the main menu 3 years into the console's life cycle. These are all evidence that a big shift has occurred at Sony, and you can look at these staff changes high up to explain this, I guess. But Sony has made it crystal clear that they don't give a shit, and I am not a Sony pony. I'm a gamer, and I want to play great games and engage with a great community. And these are two things I don't believe PlayStation are at their peak of right now. Do you? But even though I have now refound my love of PlayStation since, the company are now selling PlayStation exclusives cheaper on Steam than they do on PlayStation. Yes, okay, PC games are usually cheaper, I grant you, but when it's an exclusive, what have you just received for your loyalty? Absolutely nothing. Think about it. PlayStation are taking the piss this generation, and if we don't do something about it, it'll get worse and worse and worse. And that's the only power we really have here, voting with our wallets. So around Christmas, I took a big break from everything, from content creation, from social media, from Discord, from the internet, and from PlayStation. Enter the Steam Deck. My Steam Deck, which I have had since release, pretty much sat collecting dust for over a year. Other than when we went out to hospital visits, we predicted would take hours, but my Steam Deck beckoned as I lay on the sofa drunk over Crimbo, recovering from a year of from hell. I went on a bit of a mad one, and somehow now I have about 800 games between Steam, Epic, and GOG, and honestly half of them were free through things like Epic's Christmas giveaways, tracking freebies through a site I'll drop in the comments, or Prime. And I found what I was looking for in these hundreds of games. First was comedy. PlayStation has fuck all comedy. It takes itself so ridiculously seriously, and so does its player base, that it makes my head hurt. I don't just play one genre of game because I don't just watch one genre of telly. Sometimes I want a grand period drama-esque fantasy show a la Game of Thrones, and sometimes I want a cheeky lads comedy set in ancient Rome a la Plebs. Other times I might fancy an 80s karate revival, or I'm feeling particularly fucking weird, I'll watch that Love on the Spectrum shite. I just like taking the piss out of other autisms. I'm evil. I know. I'm a horrible human being. Cancel at will. So I played my deck and got into Sir Whoopass, a Skyrim parody that follows a clueless knight on a random set of quests where the bars are filled with women and Wi-Fi. Loved it! The only thing I played on my PS5 at this point was FIFA, and that was mostly just to hang out with Kyle and Duxie when I was up to it. Enter the Elder Scrolls Online. A game I always wanted to play because I am a shameless Tamriel simp, but one I always avoided due to the Platinum's insane fishing requirements and the Emperor Goldie, but mostly the fishing. It requires more patience, and I don't have that. I've got ADHD instead. Thank you, Jesus. But on the Steam Deck, I don't need to worry about the Platinum, the fishing, or even the fucking Emperor trophy. I can just relax and play. And my god, did I need that. The total and utter liberation from my own Sony pony mentality that I found myself trapped in. And after 2 years, I was once again content with my gaming. This time, however, it was far away from PlayStation and further than ever from trophy hunting. Enter Crimson Purgatory. Now, Crimson Purgatory is not just a stellar YouTube creator. Oh no, there is literally no end to this man's magnificence. He is simply one of my favourite people on the planet. And while I was blowing up our big group chat every single day with drama and sulking, and basically being a little bitch, he was resolute in his love and support. The patience and care this man has is unrivaled. He is basically Jesus, which makes sense because another man I also call Kin Turtleback refers to himself as God, and he's a petty little shit, so it works out nicely. I'm kidding. But Crimson reminded me that it was never PlayStation that I loved. Hell, I haven't even played half the exclusives, but the community that I had on the system, the friends I spent so much time with on it, even if some of those friends had fucked off to Mobaville, which brings us to how I fell back in love with PlayStation. A series of fortunate and happy events led to my love of the plat resurfacing. I'd waited over a decade for Time Splitters to be revived, and last year it got a release on PS Plus Premium with trophy support and double stacks to boot! Time Splitters 2 is the first ever game I got 100% on in the PS2 in the in-game records. It's where my love of completionism started, and in my negativity and depression I decided to slowly plat them. To enjoy them. Take my time. This was mega stupid and just prolonged the misery, basically the depressed sister of procrastination. But I also had Gravity Rush to finish, a game I genuinely loved but didn't want to platinum because I was trying to record myself playing it, which I fucking hate doing.
It's his job, isn't it?
Gaming is private, and if I want to do it naked, covered in peanut butter, that's my choice, damn it, and I don't have to show people on YouTube. That's for my OnlyFans. But that's why it took me so long, but the game sat in my head and I knew I couldn't resist it for long, and eventually when I was feeling more positive, I went back and smashed it, unraveling a wave of events. I quit the FC25 plat so I could get back to normal, earned the Gravity Rush Platinum, and went back to the second stacks of Time Splitters 2 and Future Perfect. Decided that getting them out of the way was the best thing to do because nostalgia is great, but I needed to look forward now, not backwards. It's not about the adventures that I've had, it's about the journey I'm on and the road ahead. So now I'm doing Gravity Rush 2. But my best friend, who's helped me with so many games in the past, asked me for help with Streets of Rage 4's Platinum and Ego boost that I much needed as I blitzed through the final level for him in about 30 seconds. I played a ton of MOBAs with my friends, discovering that they are absolutely the worst and the community is more toxic than the bat-based chemicals that the Joker belly flopped into in Batman. Now, my god, what a cesspool of absolute dickheads. I discovered what I truly love about the hobby that we all share and why, even when I couldn't stand the thought of it, I couldn't get away, and it's because of the people. The amazing people that make up this wonderful community. One I am forever grateful for. And that brings us to the end of this ferociously fast-paced video, which I had 7 asthma attacks fucking recording. I feel that with my realization, it's the people, not the plats that matter. I've decided to only go for plats that I specifically want and those that the people around me loved by experiencing them for myself. I want to focus my content on those platinums. I want to spread love of this hobby and community and share the most loved plats, not the ones that make us miserable. I'm no longer worried about difficulties, completion percentage, average rarity, or any of that shite. Not until my next epiphany and I panic over which games on my backlog are going to become unobtainable anyway. What do you think of my new approach? Is this how you go about trophy hunting? Is it too casual for your liking? Let me know in the comments with a thumb up for good, thumb down for bad. Thank you all for everything, but mostly for making this community the very best in the world. Be good to each other and yourselves.